I woke up at the bottom of my stairs and I don't know how I'd got there. First day I was there, addict behaviour, we'll do it all or nothing. And got a detox, medical detox. But I'd also said to myself, I don't think I can do this again. But I had these post-it notes, and on the post-it notes I had a 1% written on them. 1% was the amount of people who make it to a year sober. I was in corporate human resources. I was the logical person. I was never, ever going to do anything as strange as hypnosis. But it bloody works.
My name is Nicole Young, and this is the Rock Your Bottom podcast. Hi guys, just a quick PSA. I just wanted to jump on and say a massive thank you so far for all of the love and the support. Please, if you are enjoying the content, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Yes, I'm talking to you. To keep this going, it needs your support. If the love keeps coming, I promise to keep bringing some incredible stories to your screens. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Welcome to the Rock Your Bottom podcast, Ali. I am so excited to have you sitting down with me today.
Thanks, Nicole. It's so good to be here.
You have an incredible story behind you, and you not only dedicate your time to helping others, but you also dedicate your own profession, which is remarkable. What stands out to me the most, though, is that you are just so open to coming and sitting down with me today to share a bit of your story from going from active addiction into recovery. To give the viewers some context, would you please share with me who you are, what you do, what your substance of choice was, and how clean and sober you are today?
Sure. As somebody with past addiction, it's really hard to remember all those questions. So I'll try, and you might have to just prompt me a little bit.
Totally.
So I'm Ali. I am at the moment running a business for myself because I'm a pretty shit employee, I figured out. Not just in addiction, but in recovery too. I always have been a little bit different, and it's shone through, particularly now I'm sober as well. So my drug of choice was alcohol. It started really early, and, like most people, and it went on for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So I'm 6.5 years sober now, coming up to the, dreaded 7-year itch. But for me, recovery is where it's at. I've never had a better life than I do now. So I'll be sticking on this side of the world rather than the addict side of the world, because it's too hard.
Totally.
This is much easier.
To kick this episode off, I did ask you to bring with you today a quote that has helped you within your recovery. Did you bring one?
I did.
Wow.
I bought 3.
Did you?
I'm an addict.
Once too many, 1,000 is not enough. Would you like to share those with me this morning?
Yeah, so my favourite one, and the one that works best for me, is fall over 99 times and get up 100.
Nice. And
for me, that was born from one of my favourite things in life is cars and motorsport.
Yeah.
I love cats as well, so cats and cars. And my history in motorsport was around helping run a team, be on the team, and do a lot of the PR stuff, and also help find sponsorship. So yeah. I'd send out 100 letters and 99 would say no, but I only needed 1 yes. And so that was what I went to in recovery too, was just if I keep getting up, I'm going to make it.
That's incredible. Well done, you. Did you want to share the other quotes with me this morning as well, or was that one okay for you?
One's never enough, you know that. You know that.
Go on.
So one I've recently come across is life rewards action. And so if I sit around just going, okay, well, recovery feels good, but don't go and do anything about sharing it and sharing how good it can be, then I'm not doing the right thing by helping others. And that's what recovery is about. That's what I'm learning it's about. It's not about me being selfish about my recovery. It's about sharing it with others so that they know that, the possibilities are endless. You can get back up. I was 48 when I stopped drinking. I don't have any regrets because I wouldn't be who I am today without what I've done. And so for me, it's a mindset of just shifting forward, by rewarding myself by taking action to do the next right thing, or something that sparks me up. And the other one for me is just stay focused and keep shining. When I first joined recovery, I joined all sorts of different, groups and fellowships and all that sort of stuff. And the one that worked for me most was NA. And when I got to 9 months, they gave me this yellow tag. And I'll never forget, the person who gave it to me said, this is yellow because that's when the sun starts shining on the inside.
Wow.
And it stuck with me, which is why, just keep shining. So even on a shitty day, like we just had a cyclone, for example, and you could get like a bit cabin fever I just always think about now that I create the sunshine. It doesn't have to be outside. And in fact, it's above the clouds anyway. So it's there. So just keep shining, I reckon.
Oh, what an awesome message, Ellie. That's pretty remarkable, my friend. And yeah, wow. You highlighted that you stopped drinking at the age of 48. When did you start drinking?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think my memory is so bad.
Yeah.
I think it was certainly my mum and dad would let us have wine and all that's beer and that sort of stuff with dinner.
Yeah.
And I think it was when I was about 15 or 16, I started experimenting because I was always different. So I always had to go and, do something different. And it got me in the shit a lot.
Yeah.
But the cool thing was alcohol and cigarettes and drugs and all that sort of stuff made me feel okay. And that it was okay to do all this naughty stuff.
Yeah.
And lures you in.
When you highlighted that you were a little bit different, or you've always been a little bit different, did you find yourself hanging around different people as well when you were younger, or people that were a little bit different?
I found it really hard to make friends because my mum and dad were in the British Army. So we moved all over the world for the first 10 years of my life.
Wow.
And when mum and dad finally decided to settle in New Zealand, by the time I finished school, I finished school as soon as I possibly could because I hated it so much. I'd been to 13 different schools. So making friends, I'd just lose them within a year or a couple of years because we'd be moving again, because the army would post us somewhere else.
Do you think that has impacted the way that you hold relationships today with people around you as well?
Totally.
What does that look like for you? What do your relationships look like today?
Quality over quantity. Yeah. I have a very, very few really close friends, all bar one's in recovery. And I still find myself being a little bit different, even in the rooms, even in recovery. I feel like I'm not always accepted or the same, and which is cool for me. I don't mind because there's 8.2 billion people in this planet. So I'm going to find someone, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what your drinking looked like during your 20s and early 30s.
Yeah, another really good question. You'd have to ask other people. And occasionally I will come across somebody who I haven't seen for a long period of time, and they'll go, "Oh yeah, remember when you fell over the blah blah blah?"
Yeah.
I know in my younger days, rallying in motorsport was really my biggest passion. And my ex-husband and I, we had a rally team, we had a car, we competed in national championship rallying, and he went on to go overseas and all sorts of things. But I remember when Rally New Zealand used to come to town, and somebody would say to me afterwards, are you okay? You fell over the couch at the travel lodge or whatever it was. And it was because I was so drunk. I had no idea what I was doing. And when I think about, some of the memories that would have been really, really cool to have, the ones that come back to me are the ones that people remind me of that are really embarrassing. Like it's not always the good stuff. So I just have to gamify stuff these days and just look back on it and go, it was all a learning curve, because I don't remember a lot of it.
Can you remember what it was for you to sort of look back and realize that you did need to stop? Can you remember what that feeling was like, or what happened for you to come to the conclusion this has to stop?
Yeah, I woke up at the bottom of my stairs, and I don't know how I'd got there, but I'd broken my tailbone, so I must have fallen down the stairs. And I don't know how out cold I was, but it was dark when I woke up.
Yeah.
So it must have been a little while. And at that point I thought, whoa, this is a bit out of control now. And I'd not really told anybody what was going on, because, you just hibernate and isolate, and people didn't realise, including my mum and dad, they didn't realise how bad the problem was. But one of my friends knew, and she helped me figure out a plan. My parents helped me. So I've been really lucky that I've had a lot of support.
Yeah.
In saying that, I've also wrecked a lot of relationships, but, that's a normal addict thing.
Talk me through that plan that you and your friends and family put together in place for you to start getting well again.
The first place I rang was CADS.
Yeah.
And went and it was at somewhere, it was a public holiday, it might have been Labour weekend or something like that. And I couldn't get in to do a interview because they weren't doing walk-ins at that point.
Yeah.
And I had to go. Maybe it was COVID. Shit, I don't know. No, it was well before then. Anyway, I had to wait to go to have an interview at Ewington, and so the lady just said keep drinking, and so I had this interview and then got booked into Pittman for an interview. Went there and they said, oh, we can't do anything until the new year, we're fully booked. And 2018, I'm going to say that was. And they just said keep drinking. So I thought, oh, cool. It just gives me, permission now to get pissed. So I did. And I'd quit work by then. I was just, I needed to drink all day, every day by that stage. And on the 6th of December, Pittman rang me and said, oh, we've got a cancellation. Can you get in here tomorrow? And I said, no. I've got a cat. I need to see Christmas through. My birthday's early in January, so I need to celebrate that. I need to have all these last celebrations of, my life as a drunk. And they said, oh, well, we can't guarantee that there's anything until at least the end of January, and we don't think that's a very good idea given the amount you're drinking, that you wait for 2 months. So I just went, okay, I'll do it. Managed to get the cat into a hotel for a few weeks. Went to Pittman House and got a medical detox. at the end of that week, they said, well, you can't just go home because it's not going to be a great idea. What about if you go to a respite somewhere? And so they booked me into Puna Whakatā, and they were amazing.
Wow.
That was when I decided I was going to become a peer support worker.
Yeah.
Like the first day I was there, addict behaviour will do it all or nothing.
Yeah.
And so I went there, had a couple of weeks there, got a peer support worker of my own. It was a guy. He's still a peer support worker. He is down in Invercargill now. Mike's his name. I know he won't mind me telling everybody because he's in the fellowship as well, and helps save lives. I thought, I looked at his CV and it said he liked motorbikes, and I thought, oh well, if there's nothing else to talk about, we can talk about car stuff because that's stuff I love.
Yeah.
And that was how I started along the path of getting a peer support worker. But you know what? He became just so important in my recovery. He was always there. He helped me get through Christmas and the New Year. Helped me just for a good 8 or 9 months before I then started working in the same office as he was. Yeah. So he had to stop being my peer support worker, but we've remained friends ever since. And he's 10 plus years now. So, we still remain in contact and all that sort of stuff. I went also to rehab. I didn't do the dreaded 14-week rehab. I did Salvation Army Bridge.
Well done.
Oh yeah, yeah. I because I'm the different one, I didn't end up with too many friends out of that, and I don't think even the people who ran it liked me very much because I told them how shit their program was. Because as you do, you're new in recovery and you think you know everything.
You're going to critique every single thing
yeah,
that
of course.
needs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And they didn't do things like mindfulness because their program was about 20 years old.
Yeah.
And so I, had them to blame for, not being able to fix me.
Yeah.
Typical addict stuff. Anyway, I had a falling out with a guy there, and he's in the rooms too. And he and I are best friends now because, we're both clean and sober and, respect each other now and all that sort of stuff. But I do something every single day now for my recovery, every single day.
Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about your routine you have in place for your recovery every day. What does that look like?
So the first thing, I've got 3 cats.
Yeah.
They were part of my plan for recovery because I don't have kids. I had an old cat. He actually saved my life because I'd got to the point where I want to die. And I was thinking about how I could take the cat with me because he's a one-woman cat and he wouldn't have survived without me. So I was going to do all sorts of, lock ourselves in the garage and turn the car on and all sorts of, poison us. And then I realised that was just really freaking stupid. And so I started instead, he was an old cat, so I started instead getting a succession plan of cats together. So I got another kitten and I had this really awesome plan to get 1 kitten for each year I'm sober.
Yeah.
And that started off really well until I got to 3 cats and went, maybe this isn't my best idea because if I get to 20 years, I'm going to have 20 cats. It's crazy. So I stopped at 3. And that was really when my older cat died a couple of years ago, that I think if I hadn't have got the cats, then I would have gone straight back into addiction because I saved his life when he was literally 4 weeks old. I found him in a car park and he saved my life down the track. So he was a pretty cool cat. I got a sponsor. I went to the rooms. I went to recovery church, which, I'm not religious. It worked for me for about 6 months until I just had enough. But everything I did was around trying to recover, and I'd taken time off work to do that. Well, I'd been fired actually. No, I quit before I was fired. I'm not a very good employee.
Yeah.
So I took this time off to get wellness, and
Yeah.
then got asked to be a peer support worker, and started training to do that. So I do gratitude every morning. In fact, I've changed it now to the night before I do my gratitude, so that I'm sleeping on the goodness of what I'm predicting the next day is going to give and bring me.
Amazing.
So it works so beautifully because my brain sleeps on good things all night instead of going, oh, I'll just go to bed and wake up in the morning refreshed. I go to bed on these really, really good thoughts that I'm going to have the most epic day the next day. So just doing things, and again, because I'm a bit different, I will always do things differently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm intrigued to know that your journey through, I guess, Pitman House and Puna Whakatā and the bridge and stuff, did you do that all in one stint and then you remained sober, or did you have a period of time where you went through a relapse and then got back on the bandwagon? What did that whole experience look like for you?
Yeah. So, no, I didn't have a relapse. It's an absolute miracle. But I'd also said to myself, I don't think I can do this again, because I was 48.
Yeah.
Which at the time I thought was really old. Now, of course, 6 years later, it's incredibly young. But I had these Post-it notes, and on the Post-it notes, I had a 1% written on them. And 1% was the amount of people who make it to a year sober. And they were plastered everywhere through my house, in the cupboard, and my undies drawer, and the bedside table, everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was a reminder to me of what I was doing this for, because I'd started work as a peer support worker. I was seeing all these people relapse, and all the people in the rooms around me relapsing, and I was going, oh my God, I'm just going to live it through them. I can't do this. So I just was really solid in my recovery. I haven't gone so well with giving up vaping, but I'm now 4 weeks free of vaping.
Well
done. But it's been harder, I reckon.
Oh yeah, I gave up about 5 months ago, and I think I cried more in those 3 days, the first 3 days, than I think I've cried in like my whole life. And I was, vaping is God. It grabs you around the throat, eh?
Literally.
Literally.
Oh,
babe, I can fucking relate to that. That's what. Did you say 4 weeks?
4 weeks, yeah. 4 weeks, 1 day.
Congratulations. Like, honestly, you deserve a coin.
So, yeah, I've relapsed a few times on vaping, but thankfully not on drugs and alcohol. So, only because I've got this all or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
And I've gone hard on recovery.
Yeah.
Because I deserve it.
You totally do. What an awesome mindset to have. And thank you for sharing that with us. That's incredible. Before we move on and I start picking at you to tell me a bit about, your profession and what you do there, I would love to just touch on briefly if you could highlight or explain to me if you experienced that rock bottom moment for you, and just talk to me about anything you would like around that. I know some people say that they actually don't experience a rock bottom moment, and that several different sort of things built up and got on top of one another, and that was enough. Some people do experience that rock bottom moment, and I'm intrigued to know what your experience was like.
Yeah, sure. That day I found myself at the bottom of the stairs and didn't know how I got there.
Yeah.
That was the day I went, okay, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
I want to be the one who has control over how I die, not anything else.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was, I've got a cat to look after. So by that stage, though, I'd lost my job. My brother and I had fallen out, my sister-in-law. I had literally one friend. I was renting. I couldn't really, I wasn't paid. Luckily, I was in a high paid job. So I had a reasonable salary coming in before I lost everything.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of money, not just to pay for the alcohol and the cigarettes and all that sort of stuff, but to pay the rent. So I didn't lose absolutely everything and end up on the streets or in a car. But I got to a point where I was like, okay, I think that's enough now. That's enough. This is really not very fun anymore. In fact, it's really freaking horrible, and I don't want to do this anymore. So I want to see if I can find a different way. And yeah, so whilst I didn't lose everything, I've only just paid back the huge amount of money that I got into debt for.
Yeah.
I'll never own my own house unless I become a millionaire overnight, which is part of the plan. But the banks won't give me a loan because I'm now too old to be able to keep servicing a mortgage or whatever. And it doesn't suit my lifestyle anyway. I don't want to be stuck, even though I've been in the same house for 20 years. I don't want to be stuck with a mortgage. I want to fly around the world and do some really exciting things in the rest of my life.
You want that freedom, eh?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Those relationships that you spoke of that got a few cracks in them before you decided to kick the booze, have you been able to mend those relationships?
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah.
Although, a couple of days ago, my brother did ask me to feed his cat whilst they're away. So they've given me the keys to their house. So I must be doing something right.
Incredible. Now, let's dive into you becoming a peer support worker. You spoke about going to Puna Whakatā, and as soon as you arrived there for some treatment after your detox, you realized what everyone was doing around you, helping you wanted to then dive into yourself. So what did that whole experience look like for you?
Well, I was on pink cloud world.
Totally.
Early recovery. It was really hard, and it was really sad, and it was really emotional, and it was all that sort of stuff. So I was just making decisions because I felt like I could, and without really any substance behind them. But the people were so kind, so kind. Every single person, Pitman House, Puna Whakatā, even Wins was really nice. So, I had a lot of support from complete strangers who just wanted to see me get well, and that's all they wanted. Whereas in my addiction, all they wanted was another round because I was well paid, and, they deserved it. And so did I, of course. But, the people that I met in recovery were just so kind, so loving, and they didn't have to be. And I realised that was something that I wanted to do, was to be able to help others.
Yeah.
And when I think now, I look back on that decision and then moving into peer support, there's actually quite a few people who have now gone on to be peer support workers that I was the peer support for.
Yeah.
And they've seen the same thing as I did and gone, wow, I really want to do this. Some of them have gone on to be clinicians. It's amazing.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You see this light in people when you first step into that space, when you're just getting well again and just sort of getting a foundation under your feet, and then you become that light for others. And it's funny because we don't, you don't even realize it either until you sort of step back and have a look at the bigger picture, and you go, holy
yeah. Totally.
Wow.
Totally.
So going from peer support work, I have an understanding that you no longer do peer support work and you do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this little bit different that I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I'm a clinical hypnotherapist by trade now.
Yeah.
So I was in corporate human resources. I was the logical person. I was never, ever going to do anything as strange as hypnosis. But it bloody works. And it's really, when I studied it, I was like, and I saw all these great changes happening and all that sort of stuff. Wow, blown away. I continue after I did my peer support work. A few things happened where I realised that I was still a shit employee, much like when I was drinking. So I decided that I needed to go and work for myself, and looked around for things to do and thought about going to study to become a clinician in AOD, and when, you know what, I don't want to study for 2 years. I want to do something that I can, like peer support, where I could learn on the job as well as study. So then we went into lockdown, and I thought, right, I'm quitting this peer support work and I'll study online. And I found this lady in the UK called Marissa Peer. She developed a modality in hypnosis called rapid transformational therapy. So I studied that, and it was supposed to take me a year to get to the point where I was sitting an exam and being qualified.
Yeah.
But it took me 8 months because I really put the effort in. A bit like my recovery. I thought I saw a really cool thing and just went, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And so I qualified to do that, and it was quite scary starting my own business, and it was locked down, and dumb time to start a business, but also the very best time to start a business. And I've just gone from strength to strength, studying other modalities as well. I'm quite into breath work at the moment as well. I've just started a new business as well, which is looking at performance mindset. So that's really exciting. So it's combining my passion of cars and motorsport and sport with mindset. So it's taken me in a way I never thought would exist. And I'm the least woo-woo person I know. So hypnosis, whilst people might go, oh, it's a bit scary, it's actually the quickest way to healing I've ever come across.
Ellie, thank you for sharing a little bit about what RTT is and what you do with it. It's really, really amazing. And I'm really excited to hear that you are, taking your love for performance and now your profession and putting it into one as well with your cars. And that's incredible. Tell me a little bit about what a week looks like for you and your profession, and how many people you would see and what they come in to see you for.
Sure. So when I first started RTT, I was helping people quit smoking, quit vaping, quit drinking, and pretty good success rates.
Yeah.
The only thing is you've got to want it, right? It's like any kind of recovery. You've got to want it to be able to be successful. So yeah, I've got the odd failure here and there, but on the whole, the RTT itself works beautifully to help people, stop doing things, OCD, ADHD, all sorts of traumas, pain, that, psychosomatic kind of stuff has the ability to be healed through the power of your mind. And then that got me really excited, thinking about, wow, if we can heal with the power of our mind, imagine what heights we can get to to be able to make life absolutely a humongous party. And so that's the part that excites me now, is not just helping people with giving up smoking or drinking, but being able to go to that next level. And this year is a year of transition for me to get to that next level. So I'm looking at helping people in motorsport with mindset, sports with mindset, CEOs, coaches. I've done some extra training in sports hypnosis, and so that's the goal for this year, is to move more towards that. So at the moment it's about a 50-50 split between performance mindset and helping people with anxiety, depression, PTSD, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So my week is pretty varied. I do love the variety. I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. So, for example, they say you've got to find a niche. And if I found a niche to help people quit smoking and vaping, I would be so bored. It's different for every person, but for me, it's the same process.
Yeah.
So I quite like the variety which sports and high performance give.
Yeah.
So I had a young girl who came to me a few months ago with what she called the yips. Her sports psychologist, her clinically trained sports psychologist, said she had the yips. And so she was bowling. She couldn't bowl straight. She could bowl straight in practice, but not on game day. So I said to her, well, you don't have the yips for a start, because you don't have them on practice, but you have them on game day. So we just need to figure out why you can't bowl on game day. And we did that. And it was a whole lot of stuff that had happened when she was a kid. She had a pretty rough upbringing. And so we cleared all of that crappy stuff out, and she now bowls straight.
Incredible.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've helped a young guy with race cars. He does about 2 seconds a lap quicker now. He can speak to the camera. He's able to go and talk to his sponsors. Before that, he would get his dad to do everything for him. Now he's got no problem with that sort of stuff. So, it's about cracking that top 2 inches in your brain to go, there's no limit. There's no limit. If you want it enough, which is like those of us, and this is really awesome to transfer to recovery too. If you want it enough, you'll get it.
Yeah.
You've put your mind to it, and you have those people along the way that support you until you can support yourself, and then you still need them, but you become, they become your lifelong friends, your circle. You're away. You're away. So even though I say, I help people with PTSD and giving up drinking, it's still an incredibly powerful part of what I do. I've got a love for cars, always have. And so now I go, right, it's time to really fly and make my passion my work.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that I'll get to, go and coach Liam Lawson or Lewis Hamilton, but you never know. Like, the sky's the limit, right?
Totally. And this is a start, I am well aware that I am sitting opposite a mindset guru, and I absolutely love it because I'm actually all about mindset as well. You are so totally right. There is no limit, and it is about an individual just finding that and grabbing onto it. When you were talking about mindset, it had me thinking about where you believe addiction stems from.
Good question. Very good question. For me, addiction was about being different, always being different, not fitting in. And so finding that drugs and alcohol helped me fit in. I think there's a piece around generational addiction as well. And you'll find it actually in probably most families that there's at least one or two, if not more, people that have become addicted to particularly alcohol because it's legal and so easy to come across. And, my parents aren't addicts, but in their younger days, some of the stories, they bloody were on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
But one of my uncles is particularly bad. One of my cousins at the moment is particularly bad. I was particularly bad. So it's and the cousin that's different, he's a redhead and never fitted in. He fits in with alcohol. So I think, and there's more around, it's more scientific than that. But I also think there's a piece around those intergenerational addictions, particularly for women. When you're born, you're already born with the amount of eggs that you have in your body. You don't grow more. They're all sitting there. So they're there from birth. So they're there when your mother was, you were conceived, and so on for your mother and for your grandmother. And so it can literally in our genes, I think. Yeah. And, just because I haven't had children doesn't mean that my nieces are not going to have a problem. They don't at the moment. They're very good girls. But I do think that there is an intergenerational scientific part, not just a mindset part. But mindset is, I think if you want something bad enough, you're going to go and do it. And that's exactly what I did. Was addiction worked for me because it made me feel like I could fit in, and I just wanted to fit in. It's not until now where I realise that I don't have to fit in anymore. It's nice, it's good to be different, to be unique. But when you're a kid, you don't want that.
Thank you for highlighting your take on what addiction means to you and where, it stems from. It was a really powerful take, and it definitely has got my head thinking back and agreeing with a lot of what you said. So thank you. Speaking on the topic of addiction, are there any misconceptions around addiction that you believe more people should be aware of that, I guess, don't suffer from the disease of addiction?
Yeah, the normies, hey?
The normies.
The normies.
Yeah.
So 90% of the population are normies.
Yeah.
So we're misunderstood.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That doesn't mean that the normies will ever get it. So I remember my mum, she went away to the UK. My mum and dad went to the UK. I was about a year sober, I think it was. And her best friend's birthday was going to be whilst my mum was away. So she said, hey, can you give Joan this bottle of champagne? And I was like, okay. Deer in headlights going, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
Took this bottle of champagne and took it home and went, oh my God, I can't have this in my house. Rang my best friend and said, can you go and get this bottle of champagne?
Yeah.
And my mum just, when she got back, I said to her I had to give the champagne to Dee. And so it didn't get to her best friend because I couldn't do it. And mum was like, oh my God, I didn't even realise that would be a problem. And so, it's just alcohol's so normalised, but people don't understand the addiction part of it. Like, people don't understand why we can't stop.
Yeah.
And I never, when I think about, I went to the supermarket the other day and I found this grape juice that was really low sugar. And I thought, oh, I'll try some of that. And got it home, got it cool enough, and then opened it and slugged it. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Still an addict.
Still an addict.
Still an addict.
Yeah.
Low fat, low carb, low sugar stuff.
Give it to me.
I'm friggin' addicted to it now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's just, it will stay with me. But also what it does for me is if I direct it in the right way, it allows me to follow my passion because I'm so focused on what I want to achieve, then I can go and achieve it. Yeah. So I use that focus that not everybody in the population has, but I can channel my addiction to a better outcome.
Would you call that focus that you're talking about a purpose as well? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think finding purpose is absolutely critical. And I think that's probably one thing we miss when we're addicts, unless you call the addict a purpose.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I think, the misunderstood part, people thinking that they can stop and start and all the rest of it, and then all of a sudden they can't. I think addiction does catch up on you as well. It becomes, alcohol and drugs just start taking over more and more, and you need more and more, and so you do.
Yeah.
You can't stop. And I think people who are not addicted or don't have that addictive behaviour or gene don't understand that.
Yeah, they will never understand
No.
it unless they are standing in those shoes. Full stop.
Which they never will be.
Yeah.
So it's not up to us to educate them. It's up to us to educate the 10%.
Yeah.
Forget the rest of the world. Just focus on the people that, are us.
Yeah. Thank you for highlighting your take on that. That was incredible. Going back to you and your journey, what is the biggest gift that you have received within your recovery?
The one biggest gift, holy moly. Knowing that I'm good enough.
Yeah.
It's taken a long, long time to know that. I don't think some people ever feel that way. But I would, I just don't want to ever drink again, because I've got so much more out of life than I ever got when I was drinking. I mean, I saw some pretty cool stuff, don't get me wrong, when I was sober in the early days. Like, I remember I used to co-drive for my ex-husband in the rally car, and there was it was crack of dawn, one particular morning we were on a special stage racing on the gravel, and we came round this corner, and it's at Matatā, which is down on the east coast of the North Island between Ahopi and Whakatane, I think it is. Tauranga way, anyway. And we came round this corner, and there was the sea in front of me and a cliff on this side and a cliff on this side. And I just went, wow, look at that. So amazing. And my husband just went, can you just read the fucking notes and watch the road? And I'm like, oops. But, there were some really magical moments when I wasn't drunk. And now I look back on them, I go, those are the magic moments that you can have without drinking.
Yeah.
And so, for me now, the gift of life that I've got back, I'm so glad I didn't kill myself.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. It felt like a good thing to do at the time, but now I go, wow, if I can show other people and show myself what good looks like, then, other people get to see that there's life beyond addiction.
What were the processes of you navigating being good enough? What did that look like? Because I know that there are a lot of people out there that struggle with the concept of being good enough. And, you can go from one extreme of feeling like you're never going to be good enough, but you have come to the next extreme of being, do you know what? I am good enough. What did this middle bit look like?
Sure. So RTT really helped me with that.
Yeah.
So RTT looks for root cause of what's going on. So addiction is not addiction. It's about what's underneath, and it's about being not good enough, being different, or things not being available. And it's generally one of those three things. So it's not about anger or sadness or anything like that. It's about not good enough, being different, things are not available. So once you can figure out for the person what resonates most with them, you can generally figure out why they think they're not good enough. And even if you had the world's greatest childhood, you can still figure out what it was. I had a great childhood, but there were some things that happened that stuck in my little brain that went, okay, you're not good enough. Yeah. So, I wasn't the most intelligent person in school. In fact, I hated school. My brother was really good at maths and science and all that sort of stuff, and I was hopeless. So we'd do the times tables at night when we were doing the dishes, and I was never good enough. So that's where my not good enough started, doing the times tables, because I couldn't do them fast enough and beat my brother. So it can be tiny, tiny little things that set us off to snowball into that path of not being good enough in everything.
Would you say that RTT was definitely, obviously, one of the tools that you used with that process? With anyone struggling, would you recommend RTT for them to just go and give it a go and see for themselves?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At risk of saying that talk therapy is shit, which it's not, because it works for different people. Different therapies work for different people, right?
Yeah.
But if you have been in therapy and it's not working, don't keep going for the next 10 years. Try something else.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah.
There are people that have been going to therapy for 20 years. I can't think of anything worse than giving my money, my hard-earned money, to somebody who keeps me in trauma.
Yeah.
So
there's no movement.
No. And I don't want talk therapists to think that I'm trying to diss what they do, because they work for a lot of people. But some people need to go and find something else. And RTT and various other modalities were born because people were looking for something different. Yeah.
That's the incredible part about it all, is in today's society we have so many different options these days, and I think as people are starting to open their eyes a little bit more to those different options, and it is amazing that people like you, Ali, step into that space to actually grab onto one of those different options and run with it and educate other people on it so that more people can get the help that they're after.
I just can't imagine being stuck doing the same thing day in, day out. Like even my cricket girl with the yips, like she was told by her clinician that she was, that was it. Just think happy thoughts was what he told her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Looking back, do you think the normalisation of heavy drinking in New Zealand shapes the way you viewed alcohol on your own drinking habits?
Absolutely. My first job was a car painter. I left school and wanted to do something completely different because I'm different, unique. So I left school, became a car painter, and the drinking culture in workshops was pretty epic. I then I didn't finish that apprenticeship because I'd got into drinking by then. So I became a receptionist, and Friday night drinks were, the in thing. Then I became a secretary, and the boardroom drinks were, again, really epic. Nobody cared whether you were drinking or driving. The cops didn't. It was something that was just done. You'd sit around the boardroom on a Friday night getting absolutely sloshed and thinking it was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
For me, I was working for Repco, which was, really interesting that, we'd all go and get absolutely sloshed when we're selling car parts. But by that stage, I was fully, into drinking. Motorsport back in the day, and still a bit to a degree now, was all about how many beers can we have after the event, and we used to get absolutely hammered. And so, it was absolutely normalised. So much so that I would just go and get hammered whenever I just bloody felt like it. And so, but I was part of the 10% that I couldn't stop. So, for me, what's normalized is very different to other people. But I look at binge drinking now and go, yeah, it's still a big problem in New Zealand, but the younger generation is not drinking as much, and we've now got zero alcohol and, alternatives that are actually, not like with, I don't want to say anything about Red Bull because they sponsor a lot of motorsport, but, there's some pretty healthy options in comparison to what I grew up with was Red Bull and vodka and all that sort of stuff. The options these days for younger people is so much more, and less younger people drinking and drugging. So, good, but we've still got a really long way to go.
What do you think we as a society could be doing differently to better support people and reduce the harm around substance use or alcoholism?
Well, as we know, neurodiversity is starting to be more and more recognised, which is really important because the people who feel different, the 10%, are slowly but surely being recognised for being different. And it's okay to be different. And it's okay to celebrate being different. And I think that's really important for us as a society to be able to move on from having to have a drink to feel good about ourselves. Now we don't have to because we've got options. And not only does it help the alcoholics and addicts of the world, it also helps younger people, giving them options. So I think the way we're moving is really, really good. I don't condone, I don't drink 0% because I just think it's a bit of a slippery slope. I mean, look at my grape juice. That was just epically bad to go, oh my God, yeah, I'm still an addict. I do that with chocolate. Oh my God, yeah. So I think there's a ways to go, but the fact that we recognise difference and allow people to be different by, allowing neurodiversity and accepting it's really, really crucial.
You have opened my eyes a little bit on your view on things, and I thank you for that because yeah.
Do you know what? I also think there's a piece where I go, we can help people at the coalface, like peer support and going to AA and NA and, doing recovery, which I think is really important. But I also think there's a piece where we've got to rise to being able to speak at a different level. So there's people in my recovery, and I know you're going to put them on your podcast, who appeal to help make law change. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the age of alcohol needs to go up or anything like that, but what we need to do collectively is get the thinking around how we used to drink different. It's like, I'm really into animal rescue, and I'm actually off social media at the moment, off the rescue pages, because it makes me cry too much because of the shit that people are doing to animals. Like there was one last night on a grapevine where this guy said, oh, my dog's got cancer and I've lost her. The dog hasn't got fucking cancer. The dog has been systematically abused because they found it, and it's now at the SPCA. And I go, wow, what we need is a law change. We can't, all these rescues, they're full. What we need is the government to go, this shit is not good enough anymore, and create a new law. Now, I know that's in the process at the moment, but the same thing for alcohol is we just need to change the way we think about it. And, if we could start telling our story from, my age, going, hey, this is what will happen to you if you do what I did, and sharing that sort of story rather than going, don't drink and drive. I mean, we need a new message.
Yeah, it's about education, isn't
Yeah.
it? And it's nice.
And to think about it from a different level. Yeah.
Yeah. You talking about the drinking and driving thing just took me back to that ad that they showed on TV about the ghost chip. I don't want your ghost chip. Go away. And that guy, you know, like passing away because he did decide to drink and drive. And, you know, we have so many issues here in New Zealand with, you know, different things around drinking. But yeah, it all does come down to moving forward, educating people.
Absolutely.
What could happen.
Yeah. And I've got a view on education as well, like sitting kids in a classroom for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
I don't think works.
No.
Didn't work for me. And that was 40 years ago, maybe slightly more. But that didn't work for me. I learned things by doing.
Yeah.
And so if we were to change the way we teach, rather than saying you've got to do, you know, at the moment, the core skills of reading, writing and arithmetic, like I go, you're sitting at a desk doing that, go and teach people how to do that out in the real world. Like teach them how to budget. Teach them how to do life.
Yeah. Because
teaching them, you know, some of the maths things that I can't even think what they are now because I hated maths so much. Some of those, you know, Latin and stuff, like all this stuff that is actually not relevant to life. You know, we just set up our kids for failure. Yeah. Because they don't like it either. So, you know, all these kids with ADHD, they play up in school and then they get in trouble. All they're doing is just pushing back, going, this schooling thing is not working for me. But we're just holding them to this, you know, this is the way it needs to be, instead of going, oh, actually, if we did school a little bit differently, maybe we'd get a different outcome.
Maybe. Totally, Ali. Your take on that is definitely one I believe needs to be looked into as well because, yeah, no, you've got my vote on that.
Ali for Prime Minister.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, before we wrap this episode up, I just want to dive back a little bit into your childhood again and ask you, if you were sitting in front of young Ali, is there something that you would specifically say to her before she started her journey again?
Gee. Don't drink. Don't drink. Don't start.
Why?
Well, I wouldn't be the person I am today without it.
Yeah.
But I also go, I'd be potentially following my dreams a lot more early in life and making a difference a lot earlier than I actually have been able to. Yeah. Not saying that that's actual, what would be the outcome, but
it's a potential.
It's a potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would mean that I'd be a completely different person. But would I have been a better person? I don't know. Would I have been a worse person? I don't know. But I would have certainly had different opportunities. In saying that, I'm pretty damn happy with life right now. Yeah. It's pretty exciting.
If there was anyone out there listening to this podcast that was struggling with their substance use, what would your advice to them be?
It's hard to give advice because addicts don't want advice.
Don't listen.
We don't listen. So, what I would say though is, if you do want to knock it on the head, try things. Try different ways of getting some sobriety or some clean time. And not all of them are going to work. And in fact, I saw someone the other day who I was in rehab with, who is clearly back out there, and life does not look like it's a box of fluffy ducks. And he actually said, oh, I'm not going back to AA, it's too judgmental. And that's just where he is. That's just where he is in addiction. And I remember being like that too. I didn't go to AA for a year because they said to me, one guy in particular said to me, if you don't keep coming back, you're going to go back out there again. And I was like, fuck you. I'm going to a different fellowship. And I'm doing just fine without fucking you telling me what to do. So I've gone back to AA now, but I did my first 5 years in NA.
Yeah.
And I found my tribe there. So try things. And the only people judging you is you.
Yeah. Oh, Ellie, I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on here and being authentically you. You know, it's being authentically you that is going to help that next person be like, holy shit, if she can be authentically herself, I can be authentically myself as well.
Yeah.
Your message is amazing, and I love your just radiance of hope. You know, you are honestly shining, and
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see the impact that RTT has on us as a society as it gets more well known. And you keep on practicing and you keep on learning and you keep on growing. I just want to give you actually the opportunity to say anything else that you might have not have said yet, and if there's anything that I didn't ask you that you thought, oh, I thought she was actually going to ask me that and I didn't. I'm going to give you the floor now to say anything that you would like to say. And
Thanks, Nicole. Well, first off, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for the invite to do this. I think what you're doing by, allowing people to see what addiction is about and the trap that it puts people in is really important. So that, it's not about being understood, it's about being accepted, I think. And, this whole concept around neurodiversity and all of us being slightly different and unique is really important. So thank you for, doing this and putting this together and starting to share, a bit about how we can get recovery. The only thing I'd add is if we, and this is something that we say a lot in recovery, as you know, that if we put as much effort into recovery as we did into addiction, there'd be no addiction. And that's what I've done now, is gone, wow, I've found my purpose, I've found what I want to do, I'm going all in. And then I just encourage you to, if you put that same effort in, you'll make it. You will make it.
incredible. Oh, thank you so, so much. If there's anyone out there that is wanting to find you or your practice, where can they look?
Oh, cool. Yes. So I've got 2 businesses at the moment. My therapy business is called Freedom Therapy. So www.freedomtherapy.co.nz. And my new business is called Accelerate Peak Performance.
Yeah.
And that's www.accelerate.org.nz. Hop onto my Freedom Therapy website. There's a free gift for people on there. It's a relaxation recording and it's awesome. And I get a lot of feedback from people saying how it's really helped them. So if nothing else, at least go and get that recording and get some relaxation in your life. On me.
Amazing, Ellie. Thank you so much again. You're amazing.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you. And that's a wrap.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nicole. Fall over 99 times and get up 100.